The University of Southern California, one of the premier brands in all of college football, and has been in the news for good reason recently with all of the people that are now on their football team, on their football staff as well. Lincoln Riley, obviously the new head coach, one of the best offensive minds in the game today. Caleb Williams, for my money, the most talented individual in the game today. They got Travis Dye, 1,000 yards rusher. They got Mario Williams, one of Caleb Williams' favorite targets at Oklahoma. They got Jordan Addison, the best receiver in the country a year ago. And so you have all of this talent coming to one of the premier cities in the country in Los Angeles. What are we to make of this? Because if you remember correctly, a year ago, USC was sitting there at 4-8. And that's not to knock USC. They just had a lot of things not go their way, quite honestly. So now enter into the fray Lincoln Riley, and like we said, all of this overhaul of talent to Los Angeles and the NIL stuff that makes headlines. What do we make of USC? How do we properly assess them in 2022? Because the over-under win total for them right now is 9.5 games. I'm not here to take too much inventory on that, but I think we need to just understand the reference that we're viewing them from. Because Lincoln Riley inherited a roster that was from a 4-8 football team. So credit to him for going out there, going on offense and saying, I need more talent on this roster. If we want to be competitive today, and the transfer portal has allowed us to do that, we need to revamp, we need to upgrade. So what does he do? Hits the portal like we hit Publix. Just says, okay, quarterback with me, receiver with me, Jordan Addison, yeah, you can come as well. Travis Dye, you're with me. They do a lot in the portal to revamp. And it feels like we say that a lot when it comes to USC, but it's hard to not do that because it's so true. So on the offensive side of the ball, I've been very open about this. If they rolled the ball out there tomorrow, if they just said, okay, fall camp, you've done enough, let's play games starting now, USC would still score 30 points a game. Maybe 40. They would still run it up on some teams because they have that much firepower on offense. This is a Ferrari. And they've got Caleb Williams running it. He's in a familiar system under Lincoln Riley. I mean, you could probably riff for a good 20 minutes about how good this offense can be. Now, my question mark for USC lies with the defense because they did a lot in the portal there as well. Alex Grinch is someone who people probably have mixed feelings about just based on his time at Oklahoma. And he's a guy who plays like a high risk, high reward kind of defense. And so that was something that people in Norman gave him a little bit of flack for. But ultimately, a lot of experience as a DC. They revamped with talent there in the portal as well. But my big thing is they have 5 sophomores projected to start on this defense. That's a lot of youth. I'm not saying they're not going to be ballers. I'm just saying that's a big variable to watch for. Because it doesn't matter if your offense is scoring 35 a game if you're giving up 41 a game. And last year, this defense was giving up right around 30 a game. So they got to take the next step there. They have to find a way to improve and add some sort of element of giving their offense a break there. It doesn't have to be great, but they have to find a way to ultimately slow the opposition down because this offense is going to be ridiculous if they can sync up quickly. And we've talked about that before with so many transfers. You may run into a situation like they have at Nebraska where, hey, who's the leader? Who's going to step up and be a leader? Do we all have first day of school syndrome where we feel a little bit like, I just want to stick to myself, do what I got to do. I don't want to worry about anything else. It sounds like that hasn't been too much of an issue with Caleb Williams stepping up and being the leader and guys that have transferred in being leaders, but ultimately that needs to be something that happens. And so when we talk about expectations for USC, there's a lot of people in the national scene that throw out there, man, with all the talent, they're a playoff team. I don't know if that's really fair to say. That's like looking at, I don't know what's a good metaphor here, looking at a car with a shiny coat of paint and seeing the logo on it, and little do you know, it hasn't even hit the road yet. It's still new. It's still a new car. I mean, it takes some time to get some tread on the tires, get that engine revved up. I mean, these things take a second and a half to get going, similar to the other USC at South Carolina. These things build. They don't just happen overnight. And so I steer a little more clear from the college football playoff predictions. And truthfully, so do the USC fans. They're not expecting to make the college football playoff in year 1 under Lincoln Riley. They're not expecting to go out there and just run the table and voila, here it is. Boom, year one. Thanks so much, transfer portal. They were 4-8 a year ago. The USC faithful, the fans that really love this program, just want to get back to square one, just want to get back to being the USC in the Pac-12 that they know and love. Now, that's obviously for a short period of time as they go to the Big Ten in the not-too-distant future, but you get what I'm saying here. USC fans have a standard they expect from their program. They want to get closer to that. If it's not college football playoff in year one, that makes sense. We just want to be respectable, put a good product out there, and do what we're capable of doing. So I think that's something we need to take into account. It's going to take a minute. Now, ultimately, you know how I feel about this. I think Lincoln Riley is going to continue to recruit lights out, who doesn't want to go ball in Los Angeles, who doesn't want to go and have all the NIL opportunities that are available in Los Angeles, who doesn't want to play an exciting offense for Lincoln Riley and his track record. There's a lot of things that are trending USC's way in the long term. Oh, by the way, the Big Ten brand might help you out as well. But I think this year in itself, my expectations for USC is a Pac-12 title game appearance. Do they win it? Gosh, how can we predict that in August and we're talking about a game that's going to happen November, December? Right? Like, that's not something that we need to talk about right now. But to be in that game in year one under Lincoln Riley would be a great accomplishment. I think they're probably flirting with that 9.5 win total. I don't know if they pass it or where they end up in relation to that, but they're flirting with it. Rest assured. Now, one guy that I want to make sure we talk about, and he's kind of a overarching figure that we can talk about when it comes to USC, is Jordan Addison. Because Jordan Addison will likely only be at USC for this season, right? Like, he's probably playing 1 year here, collecting an NIL check, it sounds like, and then going to the league and making a very big check with the NFL. So NIL to NFL, that's how that works. Jordan Addison will probably not be there for the pinnacle of Lincoln Riley's career at USC. Now, the reason why it was so important to get him in year one under Lincoln Riley is when it comes to recruiting, and you're looking at the 25, 26 class, think how much more juice you have as Lincoln Riley if Jordan Addison pops off this year again. Think how you can sell that to a kid. Hey, you can come here and play in Los Angeles, and you can go catch 20 touchdowns for over 1,000 yards. Why would you not do that? Jordan Addison has a chance to be the signal fire for what's to come. And I think that's another thing with this portal class. There is a lot of great players that are laying a foundation and going to add more credibility to USC on the recruiting trail. I think Caleb Williams will ultimately at some point be a Pac-12 champion, whether it's this year or years to come. But to be able to, even if he doesn't, let's say he doesn't do that, the appeal of USC is only going to grow. The brand of USC is on its way back. Some people will tell you it never left, but the buzz around Los Angeles is bordering closer and closer to the LA Coliseum. And that's the way it should be when it comes to college football. I grew up going to USC Trojan games. I lived in Southern California from elementary school to high school, sophomore year of college, I guess. That was what was exciting on fall Saturdays, was people going to the LA Coliseum to watch Matt Barkley go light it up and throw touchdowns to Marquise Lee. Even before that, before I even lived there, Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart tearing it up in the Coliseum, going undefeated, it felt like every year at that point in time. That's the USC brand. When that's humming, college football is, in my opinion, better. Not that it's bad when it's not, but college football is better when you have teams like USC sitting atop the college football world. And so with Caleb Williams, Jordan Addison, all the star power they have right now, that is going to be a really strong tool to get more kids to USC, to get USC to where their potential is capable of. I'm excited about it, folks. USC is going to be a team to watch, obviously, this year, but going forward, the momentum they have right now, they're going to be a problem on the recruiting trail in the fall. USC is on its way back. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.